Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Now, enough with the negativity on the crappy releases, at least for now. Today, I'm going to talk about the 7 coolest watches released during the Watches and Wonders event. Either during the event or even if the brand didn't technically participate, but release something congruent to the event, that still counts. So 7 of the coolest watches just released in my opinion, and why. And of course, this video is going to be followed up by the 7 worst watches released. And we can all kind of guess which, at least a couple that are going to be on that list. Now, of course, before we get started, customary wristwatch check. I am wearing my Habring Messina Lab limited edition Friends and Family. I believe only 25 pieces made, salmon sector dial with a deadbeat second complication. Absolutely love this watch, and even though it's 38, fits me like a glove. And also, guys, don't forget to check out DelrayWatch.com, a bunch of cool new watches in stock. 3 of the highlights are a brand new unworn Rolex Oyster Perpetual 41 with the black dial. These are hard to get. A Grand Seiko Spring Drive GMT with the sapphire bezel, one hell of a sports watch, and a Panerai Submersible 683 in the coveted 42mm size. Always wanted to wear a Panerai but had small wrist? Well, go check this one out at DelrayWatch.com. Link in the description below, along with a bunch of other stuff, and check out the hot deals section so you can get a hot deal. But anyway, guys, let's talk about the 7 watches I think killed it at this year's Watches and Wonders. The first one is probably my favorite, even though these are in no particular order. That is the Breitling Premier de Tora 42 in a salmon dial. 1940 styling, triple calendar chronograph, a module built on top of the in-house B01 column wheel. And do I have to mention it again? That salmon dial. This 1940 styled watch is one of the most beautiful pieces, if not the most beautiful piece, I've ever seen Breitling make. This one is absolutely killer, not exactly inexpensive at $10,000 or roughly $10,000, but with that triple calendar and the chronograph, man, that is pretty hard to beat. I'm definitely going to be picking one of these up at some point for my personal collection. Now, a more complicated calendar. That is the Patek Philippe 5236 inline perpetual, also known as an American-style perpetual calendar, where the date lines up perfectly legible in the center of the dial. No separations, the discs are completely next to each other. Makes for a fantastically legible watch. This was generally a style used on pocket watches. I haven't seen this style used in a modern watch, and Patek certainly hasn't done it, but it's a great new in-house perpetual calendar movement with a beautiful dial and a gorgeous case, even though I think the lugs are a little bit too delicate. This one is a home run from Patek Philippe, who's doing a little bit of innovation and moving forward with their line as opposed to being still Rolex. Sorry about that. Something caught in my throat. Now a watch I might get some flack for, but hear me out. The Cartier Tank Solar Beat. A quartz Cartier Tank Solo that has a proprietary solar charging system. Now, guys, this is Cartier's entry level into the brand. Not every watch is for watch geeks. This watch is clean, easy to read, and no fuss. Doesn't need service for 16 years. Recharges with the sun. Think of this as a Le Must by Cartier reimagined, even though they kind of did that already. This is innovation because, only Citizen really makes solar watches. For Cartier to do it, I never expected that. And it gets people into the brand that is not only known for watchmaking, but also high design. And this is what that does. While it's not necessarily a super high-end piece of watchmaking, it's a fantastic piece of design with convenience, and to me, that is luxury. I actually really like this one. Now we go with a brand that doesn't take itself too seriously, and I love that. The Oris Cotton Candy. This is the Oris Diver 65 in bronze, which they've done before. released in pastel colors, which they call the cotton candy. It's playful, it's cool, it doesn't break the bank, and it shows that sometimes you just need to have a little fun. Not a whole lot of innovation here necessarily, but I do think it's cool, and design-wise, I really, really do find it interesting. And Oris is never one to sit on their laurels. I think this is a very cool summer watch. Now we move to a reimagined classic, and that is the IWC Big Pilot 43. Just like the name suggests, they took the massive Big Pilot, which sometimes can be up to 50 millimeters, and they made it a 43. They made an icon fit for the masses that want to wear it. Now you don't have to have a massive wrist or enjoy something ridiculously sized to wear a Big Pilot. On top of that, they've taken away the power reserve. That's also because the power reserve went from 7 days to 60 hours. So that is not my favorite, but once again, the movement, the 7 day in-house movement wouldn't necessarily fit in the 43 millimeter case. So that's why they did that. And there is a bracelet option, a Big Pilot in a reasonable size with a bracelet. I mean, that's a winner in my book, and I know a lot of people are going to die waiting to pick this one up. It's super cool. Now a brand after my own heart and a brand I used to work for, Piaget. A brand that has not done a whole lot well lately, but the Piaget Polo S skeleton is a winner. It's their Polo S, their sports watch, that was competing with the Overseas, the Nautilus, the Laureato, and the Royal Oak, and they've skeletonized it just like the Laureato, the Nautilus, the Royal Oak, and, well, not the Overseas, actually. But not only is it a cool-looking watch, it's a hit with its color palette in blue. The skeletonization is done extremely well, and I know the quality of Piaget skeletonization. I used to work for the company. But it's also massively inexpensive compared to its competition. This one, once again, it's not about innovation, but it's bringing something to the market at a drastically reduced price and offering a ton more value. Now, that I can get behind, and I think this is a very cool watch, and Piaget may be actually taking a step in the right direction for the first time in a decade. Who knew? And now, of course, the Rolex Explorer 36. Not the two-tone, that is god-awful and should burn in the 6 fires of hell. But the steel Rolex Explorer 36. Bringing back a classic. Did you have to discontinue the 39 to do that? No, I think that was stupid. But the 36 Explorer in steel is a classic. A lot of people love the size. It wears larger than people would think. And overall, I think it's a winner from Rolex. Now, guys, notice how I didn't mention the Vacheron peripheral rotor or the JLC Reverso. Those are more show of force. What can a brand do when budget is unlimited? But not real watches that are actually gonna be sold. I wanted to make my list of things that were relatively attainable to the masses and not a $450,000 Halo watch. So if you're expecting those two watches on this list, I do apologize. But once again, I wanted to talk about more realistic pieces. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It really does help. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any more content. And of course, the 7 worst watches of Watches and Wonders. Guys, thanks so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.